ओम नमो व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दाय तपत्र नेत्र येन त्वया भारत तैलपूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरोः पदम् मंत्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरोः कृपा। ओम कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। सद्गुरु भगवान की जय, सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय, कृष्ण भगवान की जय, गीता माता की जय। We are discussing Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, and yesterday we saw the 5th stanza. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani nattam vetha parantapa. Many births of mine have passed, as well as of thine, O Arjuna. I know them all, but thou knowest not, O Parantapa, O Arjuna. You have no intuition or knowledge. The eye of wisdom has to be opened in you on account of your past actions. So, your power of vision is limited, and therefore you do not know your previous works. But I know them because I am omniscient. This we saw yesterday. This omniscience also means knowing everything. That means all-round vision. All-round vision means, for example, our eyes can see front and little left, little right, say maximum 180 degrees. But the head of the owl is so fixed on the neck, the nerve cells of neck, it can turn back in any side. It can see the front, it can see the behind also, turning the head. And its eyeballs also rotates. And it can see in the darkness also. So, one who can see front, behind, right and left, up and down, in all directions, everything at a time, that is called all-round vision or omniscience. And that can be hard. Today also we are discussing it in Yoga Vasishtha. Yoga Vasishtha and Gita goes parallelly. everything is similar, but language differs and way of expression differs. All the scriptures say the same thing. The only difference in language and in style of expression, that differs. Morning we were discussing how one can, Rama asked, how can one see everything at a time, here and now? So Lord, the great Guru Vasishtha explains, by all-round vision, same thing. When one becomes omnipresent, naturally he will have the knowledge of everything, so that is omnisciency. Your omnipresenthood, your omnipresence can have omnisciency. When you are here, you see everything here, sitting in the veranda. If you go outside, you will see outside visions. But sitting inside, you cannot know outside objects. But if you are present in and out both together, that means if there is no barrier between the in and out, so-called in and out, if there is no demarcation, that means it is continuous. By the walls between the inside and outside, that is, wall means a barrier. If it is there, we see, we understand what is in and out, and it obstructs our vision. And if the barrier, the wall is removed, what happens? You can see in and so-called in and out at a time because of removal of the obstacle. If there is no barrier at all, so how your vision will be? It will be all round. In the continuation, there is no barriers, there is no demarcating lines. So there is no in and out. So whatever you see, it is at a time, here and now. There is no time. Time creates the barrier. Space creates the barrier or the conditions. And limiting ideas, that becomes the demarcations. And that is, indirectly we can say, the names and forms. Form means limited with some demarcations, and name also is limited in the meaning sense. So, if the barriers are removed, then there is no break in continuation, so it becomes all round. Everything at a time, here and now. There is no time, there is no space, there is no causations, nothing of these kind of barriers. In the truth, it is because all pervading, everywhere it is present, so it knows everything, here and now, and it controls everything. So omnipotency. So these three aspects belong to one only. All pervading becomes all present, omnipresent. Omnipresency gives you the knowledge of everything at a time. That becomes omnisciency, and that also means omnipotency. You can see everything, you can be everywhere, so you can have control on everything. The omnipotency. In this way, Lord Krishna is the absolute universal being. So he knows everything, past, present, future, at a time, here and now. For him there is no past nor future. He is always at present. That is called presence of mind. And that is called also one-pointed mind. So from different angles when we see, it targets at one thing only. And that is what is called truth, and that is what Krishna's form is. Lord Krishna's form means body or his mind, everything is like that. So he is ever aware of everything in all conditions, so he never is unaware of anything. So past births he is aware of. He has no forgetfulness, no remembrance, nothing. Everything is here and now. In this way, Arjuna has not this vision because he is limited by his form and his name. So he is not called the omnipotent God, Almighty God, whereas Lord Krishna is of that state. And still he clears up. Ajopi san abhyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atmamayaya. I am beginningless, aja, I have no starting point, I am never born. Born means starting of some life, some particular life, which is measured by time, space, conditioned by space and time. So aja means who is unconditional, no beginning, no end. Abhyayata, also imperishable self. And I am the Lord of all beings, because I have created all these beings. So I am the controller of, I am the governor of, controller of, manager of all these beings. So I am the Lord of all these beings. As such, what happens to me, how I disappear and appear or manifest and disappear, prakritim swam adhisthaya, governing my nature with full control over it. My nature, because of my nature, I seem to be born in a form. I manifest in a form. Forms and names are the work of the nature. So, my nature means the universal nature, the supreme power, because he is the supremo. So power also is supremo, supreme power, and that is under his control. So prakritim samadhisthaya, being established in governing my own nature, keeping full control over it. What happens? I come to being. I manifest myself in a form, in a name. Sambhavami, I come into the being, or I manifest myself, or I become visible, I take the visible form. Atma Maya, by the power of my own nature. Man is bound by karma, so he takes birth. He is under the clutches of nature. He is deluded by the three qualities of nature, whereas the Lord has Maya under his perfect control. He rules over nature. Who? The God rules over the nature, and so he is not under the thraldom of the qualities of nature. He appears to be born and embodied through his own Maya or illusory power, but is not so in reality. His embodiment is, as a matter of fact, apparent. It appears to be, but it is not real. It cannot affect in the least his true divine nature. He is free all the time. Just now we were seeing the talents of India in Sony channel. There was a magician. He was showing magic. The magic was very interesting. He called somebody and asked him to enter into the box, a full-size box. The person entered in and the doors were closed and the box was revolved. After full revolution, full turning, when the magician opens the doors, the person is not seen. And again he asked, go inside, and closes the doors and turns in the same way around and opens the doors, he is present there. How it happens? This is called magic. This is how the Lord appears and disappears. Some other magician, once I saw, he keeps a box and some person is called and he is asked to sit inside and the lid is closed and It was locked up, and the key was given to somebody in the audience. Keep it. So no chance of opening it. And the magician goes on bringing some swords and goes on putting inside it from all sides. There are holes. From this side he will push the sharp sword and it will go that side. Everybody sees. And in that way, from all sides, he goes on putting the swords from up, from four sides, and after some time, he removes the swords and asks the person to come and open the lid of the box, and the person gets out laughingly. He doesn't know anything. Nothing happened to him. This is called magic. We see something which is not there. This is called your sight is covered up. And by tricks, sometimes by quickness, sometimes by other means. So in that way, we are unable to see the right thing. That's why we see something else on the instead of something. That is our incapability of our vision, limited vision. This is how the Lord appears, incarnates, and he goes back to his own abode. That means to the same state. All these are because of, from one angle, because of our incapability of seeing the truth. From other angle, the subtle is invisible, the gross becomes visible. When the subtle becomes repeated again and again, that becomes gross and it is visible. And from many other angles we see. As you see, so you think, so it appears to you. One person is a brother to someone, a son to someone, husband to someone, father to someone, and something else to some others. One person, he never changes. The reality never changes. But our vision, our acceptance of the reality, as we think, so we see, so it appears to us. We shall see it afterwards. Lord gives this clarity. Je yathamam prapadyante tam tatheva bhajamyaham. As you see me from your angle of vision, I appear to you in that way. So, if you see me as the Lord, I become Lord for you. If you see me as your friend, I become friend to you. I am the same. It is your vision, your acceptance, your feelings that gives you the concept. So the truth is same all the time. it is never changing, it is always the constant. Man is bound by karma, so he takes birth. You know this formula. Karma forces us to take a form, and that is called birth. And the form will have some time limit, because all the changes what happens in this universe, which we call the changing phenomena, everything is subject to change. That is under the control of nature, and that is called karma and karma phala also. The same thing becomes cause for some effect, and then after some time the effect becomes cause for another effect. In this way it appears and disappears. Say for example, if you put a mango seed in the ground, what will you get? Mangoes. Will you get? They are not there. After some time, your karma, your desire is your karma. Your desire to have mangoes, your karma becomes karma phala, the result of the karma after some time. As you sow, so you yield. This is what is the saying goes. जो बोगे वही पाओगे. Whatever you sow in the field, if you have sown the paddy seeds, you cannot get wheat out of it. So the same one seed becomes many in the course of time. So seed is paddy, it becomes many only in the course of time. Seed remains the same paddy, after sometimes remains the same paddy. Only one becomes many. That's all. So it happens in the course of time, situations and conditions. This is how karma, your cause, becomes effect, which is nothing but many causes. It becomes cause for some other effect. So in that way, the cycle goes on, and because of that, we have to take birth and we have to see death also, again and again. Why? Because birth means getting a body, a particular form, and that becomes instrument for the impressions who are ready to multiply. Impressions are the seeds, and they become many in the course of time through the help of instrumentality of this body. If the seed paddy is there in the storehouse, somebody, the farmer, should be the instrument to make it many. He has to plow the field, he has to manure it, water it, have to fence it from all sides, and then go on giving the needs according to the time. And then after some time he yields the same paddy becomes much more. That is called yield. So the instrument becomes the farmer, through which the seeds one becomes many. In that way, those karmas become many, they get multiplied by a body which becomes the instrument or the instrumental cause. Nimitta Karana. That is how Lord asked Arjuna, be instrument in my hands, my dear. I am the farmer. You are just some instruments in my hand. You have no freedom to do anything or to expect anything or be the doer of anything. It is I who do everything. But in reality, I do nothing. I do everything by the instrumental cause of my Maya, my power, my nature. So it is under my control. So you are under my control. You have no freedom. As I wish, so you have to act. He is the Supreme Director, and all the beings are just the actors. They have to act according to the instructions of the director. This is what we call in Hindi, हम सब कठपुतली हैं, puppets in the hand of the puppet player. हम तो कठपुतली और भगवान क्या है, उनके हाथ में हम कठपुतली. भगवान सूत्रधार. The सूत्रधार, some puppets are played by somebody, by the strings attached to all the parts of the puppets. The player will be hidden, but the puppets are seen on the screen. From backside, he will be dragging and losing all the strings, and accordingly the puppets dance. That's how we are the puppets in the hands of God. And what are the strings? Prana, karma, mind. All these are the threads. The rein is under the hands of the driver of the chariot, and the horses have to go as the driver drives. Horses have got no freedom. So the body is known as a chariot, and the senses are the horses. They should be under control. And the indweller, he is the all-director. According to his will, the whole drama goes on. In this way, we take baths for some time. The body becomes instrument for, it has got limitations, time limit, and conditions are limited, and space also is limited. You are a human being. You belong to the earth plane. You cannot go and act in Jupiter. That is space, conditions in the space. Time, as long as your body is surviving, so long you can act with this body on the earth plane and according to the situations. Des kal patra, or else you are that means you are under the clutches of nature or the laws of nature. And the controller of nature is He, the absolute truth. So in this way we take baths, and so a person, a man, he takes bath, he is under the clutches of nature, under these rules and regulations. He is deluded by the three qualities. The Prakriti, the nature does everything by his way, by her ways. Her ways is to make disbalance. And why does she makes disbalance in three qualities? To balance it again. The whole nature does the same thing. We do the same thing. Why do you eat? Not to eat again. Why do you walk? To stop the walk. Why do you sleep? To get up from the sleep. So similarly, why does the nature make disbalance in the qualities? To bring balance again. And that is why Lord has incarnated to keep a balance in the righteousness, in the law and order of the nature, because it has been disbalanced. And that does not mean it will be always in balance. That means again it will be misbalanced. Again he has to come. So this is repeated again and again as per our creations goes, and as far as we do some actions, it is repetition only. So birth and deaths, they go on in a cycle in the course of time. The Lord has Maya under his perfect control. He rules over nature, and so he is not under the thraldom of the qualities of nature. He appears to be one and embodied through his own Maya, because body has to be composed by 5 elements or illusory power, but is not so. In reality, his embodiment is, as a matter of fact, apparent. It appears to be just as the cinema, just as the magic show. What happens is, I shall tell you the magic. It cannot affect in the least his true divine nature. His divine nature is influenced by all these changing phenomena. He is all the time same. आप क्या बोल रहे थे? हो गया? अच्छा. Pardon?
In the context of Jivo Brahmeva Napara.
Yes.
Where this shlok stands, because the whole process of scripture is from Nar to Narayan.
Yes.
And in that context, again we separate God from.
There is contradiction.
Yes.
Yes. We always bring balance, compromise. If you understand the inner meaning, then there will not be any contradiction. We understand superficially, that's how we see the contradiction. See, here he says, You have nothing to do. You are nowhere seen. Your identity is not at all to be found anywhere. You are not there. You are just the accumulation of different kinds of same three gunas. They go on changing, they become 5 elements, they become mixed up in different ratios, different names and forms are created out of that. So everything is within itself, some confusion. Now, on the other hand, it is said the being is nothing but the absolute truth. Jiva Brahmeva Napara. So it appears to be contradictory to each other statement, isn't it? Okay. Now, just as in the morning we were discussing, let us see, these beings are because of they are under the clutches of nature. Is there any contradiction? The living beings, we are living beings. On the one side, we are the absolute truth. On the other side, we are under the clutches of Maya. We have no freedom, isn't it? Here is the contradiction. So both the ways, the being is a changing phenomena. Do you agree to it? Though a human being or any other being has become a being, or he has been formed as a form, it is subject to change. Are you not in the changing phenomena? Changing phenomena belongs to Maya. So you are bound to be under the clutches of Maya, no doubt in it. And how then it is said you are the absolute truth? We saw everything. This is changing. Here also we discussed, it is apparently seen. It is not reality. This changing phenomena occurs on the background of non-changing truth. So if at all we see the changing process, that changing process is nothing but not seeing the unchanging background properly. It is there all the time. Just as we gave the example in the morning. If the waves are seen on the water surface, it is only water. Water becomes imbalanced, and that's why it is named as wave. Without changing the property of the water, water becomes the wave. Because it has changed its balance, so it is named differently. The same water is known as wave, bubbles, tides, whirlpools. Is there any contradiction? So, the changed form is nothing but the unchanged background. So, changed form is known as being. whether it is living or non-living. Every being is subject to change. This changing process is nothing but the unchanging background. Because it is changing, that's how the reality is named as something else. It is apparent. So the being is nothing but the absolute truth. Is there any contradiction now?
No, yes. As we know, the waves and water is one,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Changing, unchanging, that is also one. It is only appearance.
Only apparent.
Same way.
Uh,
Then again, Nar and Narayan, or Jiv and
yes, same Narayan has become Nar. Same Narayan has become Nara. Once you can understand it from one example. Once Lord Rama was sitting silently and Hanuman came to shampoo his legs. Both were all alone there. And Rama was in a good mood. Of course, he remains in good mood always. Then he asked to Hanuman, Hanuman, you seem to be my devotee. You seem to be my devotee. What relationship you have with me? What is your relationship with me? So Hanuman cleverly replied, Jeva buddhya tu dasoham, deha buddhya tu dasoham, jiva buddhya tvadansakam, atmam buddhya tvamevahamiti, iti me nishchitamati. When I consider my body, the outer shell, I am your servant, slave. And when I think of myself, individual self, I am nothing but your part and parcel, just as the sparkle of fire is nothing but fire only, just as the dust particle is nothing but the earth only. Similarly, when I think of my body, I am your slave, and when I think of my individual limited self, then I am your part and parcel, and when I think of the Supreme myself, the indwelling being, then there is no difference between you and me.
thank you, Swamiji.
So from different angles it appears differently. We have to always I trace upon all-round vision. When we have some doubts, we have to see that doubtful object from all angles. Then it becomes clarified. In this way, Lord explains, I know everything past and present and future, whereas Arjuna, you don't know all these because of your limited identity, because you think you are the human being and your knowledge is veiled with the Kam and Krodha, force of Kam and Krodha. That is already discussed. If it is unveiled, revealed, then there is no difference between you and I. So then Lord Krishna explains, Jada jada hi dharmasya glaniribhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatvanam srijamyaham. I think we shall see it tomorrow. Okay? Enough one sloka one day. We should understand the inner motive, how Lord Krishna explains, persuades, clarifies Arjuna's doubts. He persuades Arjuna to be the instrument, not to say no, to live at present, accept everything what comes by the way. So from many different angles Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna, it is your duty, it is your dharma, it is your nature, you cannot go against it, and you have no freedom also, and yet you have some freedom how to act without being attached, without being involved in the actions. And so, doing everything you will be non-doer, and this knowledge, this secret, you should understand and apply in the day-to-day life. Then only you can live a successful, ideal life. And you cannot go against my will. That is also indirectly said. Because you are the outcome of my nature, so you are under my control. That is also indirectly said. He directly says something, and it has so many indirect, many meanings. You have no other go. Whatever I say, you have to do it. Because the nature is under my hold. You are under the clutches of Maya. So whatever I order, you have to do. Is it not the indirect meaning? But directly he doesn't force him to do anything. That is the way of great people. Buddhi vedam na janayet, jnaninam jnanasanginam. The wise people should not interfere in the actions of the ignorant persons, because no action has any qualities. It is you who involved with the actions, and you create good or bad actions because of your attachment and unattachment. Actions are not good nor bad by its nature. The actions are not good nor bad. But you make it good or bad with your motive, your intention, and your attachment, your involvement, your doership. All these makes the actions good or bad. So you have to control your senses, you have to control your mind, and your senses. The mind uses the senses, and mind and senses are the substratum for the ego or your doership or your desires and anger to stand upon, and they become inimical to you. So if you can pull out the base, where will they stand? They are gone forever. So you can easily control them, and then you get a balanced state of mind, one-pointed mind, and that leads you to realize the truth. Indirectly, directly, everywhere the being is directed towards the goal, the Supreme. And as long as he is in a relative world, his freedom is limited, his dependency also is limited. One is related with the other. To some extent you have got your free will. To some extent your will is under the conditions. And to that the final decision is given. The stronger will win over the weaker. When your self-effort becomes strong, your prarabdha, your other qualities becomes weak, then effort will give the result. When your self-effort is weaker, then the prarabdha and other things, nature will dominate over you. You have got some freedom and as well as no freedom. That is called relativity. One within the other. Why it is big? Because this is small.
Swamiji, again then the question is arise here. We know that while reaching on the top of the mountain, there are four ways, as you say.
Yes.
Again here we are saying that we can climb by all the ways at a time.
How?
How? Because we are again differencing God and His supreme power. We are accepting God with His, and that is good also because we are
With his power.
With His power.
When the power is multifold, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So, that does it mean you have to change your tracks?
No.
In the nature itself, you can stick to one path. And there, see, the change is always seen. It is not changing the path, but changing the path. How? You are changing every moment, going ahead, going towards the top, going towards the goal. But the track is not changing. But your progress is changing. Just as Ganga is always present here, but it goes and meets the ocean. A static force and a dynamic force. Both act together. When you are making a hole, it is at one point, but internally you are changing the whole. Hari Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। सद्गुरु भगवान की जय। कृष्ण भगवान की जय। गीता माता की जय। हरि ओम।